Hi, I'm Claire, welcome back. Or if you're new here, I'm glad you found this little corner of the internet. Here at Country Inspired Living, I share a soulful, modern approach to everyday life. Think cosy spaces, home cooked meals, slow rhythms, and gatherings that feel like magic. It's not about perfection or where you live, it's about how you live and finding beauty in the little things. So if you're craving more warmth, intention, and ease in your life, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hello, how are you all? So today I'm going to show you how we're going to make a really simple Victoria sponge, because this is what I know. If you're going to embody country living, then you need to know how to make at least a basic homemade cake. And I think that you should have cake in your house like all the freaking time. So that's what we are going to do today. And also I might look a bit emotional now at the minute, and haven't really done my hair in bits and pieces because unfortunately my dad passed away last week today. And it's just, I still wanted to record this, like it's still my home. Flowers and food and that are like holding me like a blanket right now. It's just showing me that how much this country living and the soft textures I have around me, the flowers I have, the cakes and the baking and that can really hold us, and it's actually deepening my experience through the passing of my dad. And I've been wanting to make this cake for about a week, haven't had the mental or the emotional capacity or even the physical capacity to make it. And then I was like, I gotta make this cake today. And weirdly, I still wanted to pick up and record this for you. So we're still gonna press ahead with it. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and I will put the recipe up for you, is I've already measured out 250 grams of caster sugar. And I'm just gonna measure out 250 of butter. Whenever you're doing a basic cake, okay, the basic ingredients, sugar, butter, flour is like the basics. And all of those are all of the same measurement. So if you're doing 250 sugar, 250 butter, 250 flour, self-raising flour if you're doing that. It's just the basics, the foundation of any cake. And then from there you can start to throw it around, and chocolate, and you need baking powder if you're doing a sponge. But I'm going to go through all those details. So that's what I'm going to do at the minute. I'm just going to go out and measure my butter. Make sure that it's unsalted, and you want it really soft. Now you can use butter, or you can use what I'm using right now, and I'm sure all the cake makers are going to hate me on this one, but I'm using this for cakes. I'm good with it, so let's go. So I've weighed out my butter here, and I'm just going to pop that in. And then I'm going to use my mixer. I always use a hand mixer, but if you've got a food processor, it's absolutely fine too. There we go, that's all weighed out. But I'm going to use the hand whisk. I'm literally just going to beat this for 3 to 4 minutes. Make sure I've got it turned on. I have. This is going to fly everywhere. So I was literally mixing that. Drop the whisk in the bowl. I'm absolutely covered in cake batter. My kitchen units are covered in cake batter. It's gone on top of the powder. I don't think it went in my tea. And then also, look, it's all over the floor. I have to wait for the dog to come in. Like, why did I stop recording? That would have been so hilarious. So next thing we need to do is add our eggs. I need 4 eggs in this recipe. My son's eggs here, let's not use those. But I'm just going to grab my eggs out. So my son and his friends got chickens, and so they sell all the eggs, which is great. Right, so when you're doing the eggs, the important thing is one at a time. So we're just gonna add in one egg and we're gonna beat it. And once that's all mixed in, then we do the next egg and so on. So I'm just gonna whisk this up. Right, sorry, my neighbour just popped in. See how mum was. We want to make sure that we're really getting the edges of this mixed in as well. Don't leave half of it up the sides. And I've just remembered I'm going to preheat my oven. I'm going to put mine on about 160. So I'm going to get my oven going. Right, I'm going to do my next egg. The dog's just come in now and he's licked up the floor. So he's got all the clean up the floor for me. Right, just gonna mix this next one in. Repeat this for every egg, all the rest of the eggs. Right, once you've added all your eggs in, if it looks like this is slightly curdled, we'll see what it's like once we start adding in the flour, but don't worry about it. All I'm going to do in this case, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of flour and mix it in slightly just to bring it back. Just a little spread. I haven't sieved this out or anything. I'm just going to mix that again slightly. See if it just brings it back a little bit so it doesn't curdle. So as you can see now, it's not curdled. So let's bring all the sides in like this. So my side pieces were curdled. I'm just going to bring that in now. And we should be good. Okay, let's move on. Right, just going to set the bowl aside for a second. So I've weighed out my flour, and then I need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And a spoon here. I've got half a teaspoon here, that'll do. So I'm just going to add 4 of these in. And then you're going to want another bowl or a dish or something that you can sieve this flour into. So 1, 2. And the reason I'm doing 4 is because I've got half a teaspoon here and we want 2 in the cake. Now, we're going to mix that together, but also then what we're going to do is sieve it a couple of times to really let all the air get in. This is what's going to help the cake rise. You want a really good rising cake. There's nothing worse than a little piddly cake. I want this to really rise through. So I'm just going to mix that, and then I'm going to get myself another bowl and a sieve so that I can sieve it through. So yeah, what I've got now, I've just got an empty container. I've got my flour here, and all we're going to do, I've got this sort of sieve with a handle that's really nifty, but I've also got, just up here on my wheel, I've also got standard sieve. So whatever you want to use, you can use. So I'm just going to pour some of this, take some of this flour, put it into my sieve, and you want to sieve it all the way through and then repeat that over again. And this is what's going to make it really nice and fine, no lumps. We put lots of air into our cake when we start mixing it into the batter in a minute, so you can see it. That, give it a helping hand. Right, so I've done it all once into that bowl, and then I'm gonna get my other one back out, and we're gonna sieve it all back into this other one now. So just gets it, like I say, just gets out any lumps, but also it puts more air into it, so when the cake cooks, it rises a lot more. I'm just going to repeat this until all the flour has been sieved. Okay, so now we've got all that flour double sieved. We've got our butter, eggs and sugar mixed in now. What we're going to do with the flour, this is really important, we're going to do what they call folding. So what you don't want to do is put this in, and you definitely don't want to use your electric whisk here. We are not mixing here, we are folding. So you just want to take some of your flour, want to keep the air into it. So you want a metal spoon, and you're just literally going to do like a figure of 8. It's quite a slow process, this is. You can just see some of the eggs not mixed in. Oh well. Let's see how that goes. You're just literally folding it and lifting it in. You want to keep all the air that you've just created in there. So you don't want to over mix with this. Put the next little bit in, just a little bit at a time. Patience here is definitely needed, because you're just like, oh, you just want to whisk it all in really and get on with it. But this is the difference between a cake that rises and one that just stays flat. So we're just folding it over. Folding it over. Like I was always taught at school, like a figure of 8. One way and then back the other way. One way and then back the other way. So I'm going to repeat this until all the flour has been folded in. Now all my flour's mixed in, I've got this nice sort of batter. That tastes good. Now at the end here, I'm just going to add a splash of milk, not too much, just a little splash of milk. Just helps to loosen up and also smoothen out. Smoothen out, is that even a word? It just gives you a bit more of a smoother, slightly looser batter, so it doesn't make your cake dry. So again, don't mix this in, just lift and fold the same as you were with the flour. So the next thing we're going to want to get out now is our tins, and we're going to want to grease proof them. I'm just going to state the obvious here. You want 2 tins, just shallow ones here, but they need to be the same size, because you're going to put half in one, half in the other, and then you're going to put your cake together. So what I'm going to do for now is just clear up my station, and then I'll show you how to grease proof. Now what I like to do with the cakes is on the bottom put grease proof paper. So I'm just going to take a piece like this, mark it out and cut it. If you don't have grease proof paper, don't panic, but what you can use is some of your butter that you were cooking with. Do not use margarine, it doesn't work. Make sure you've got proper butter or baking butter, and you're just going to line the tin with some butter to just make it a bit greasy. So we're just doing it so the cake doesn't stick. I'm just going to draw around these and cut them out and put them in the bottom, and then I'm going to put butter all around my outsides. So I've cut out my grease proof paper and just literally that's ready to go in the bottom. But like I say, I'm going to do the sides. So I'm just going to use a bit of my butter. All I do is fold up a bit of kitchen towel, paper towel, and then I just rub it around on the edges like that. Like I say, I am no baker. Well, I'm getting better, but I just love a homemade cake. And this is why, this is like one of the most basic, is the Victoria sponge, but it still tastes delicious. And I think if you can get a good Victoria sponge, you can do anything. So that's that, and then I'll just throw that away. So I'm just going to put both of these in the base of my tin. Now I just tend to split it in half but you can always weigh them out if you want to. Weigh your tins and make sure you've got them evenly. But what we're going to do now is take our cake mixture. Let's just scrape the spoon off. And come in, bear with. I just want to get rid of one of the utensils that I'm using. I still have the metal spoon in it from the flour, and it's covered in yummy stuff to taste in a bit. So like I say, all I'm going to do is now just pour half of this mixture into one tin. I'm going to guess it a little bit. And the other half into the other tin, approximately, if I don't drop it all. Yep, it gets a bit slidey, slippy slidey. How much have we got in there? That one's in there. Put a bit more in this one. Right, and then I'm just going to make sure I scrape all the way around these edges. It's why you want one of these little spatulas, kitchen spatulas. They are the best. They beat spoons for scraping. They get it all out. They're just so easy. And you know what? Baking brings me so much like therapy, like healing. You know, like times that I'm going through right now, you might be going through a rough time. Just to stop and just do something for yourself, get a bit creative, get baking, then you get to enjoy it afterwards. And I was thinking about it, like, yeah, you know, this may be some, you know, it brings me comfort that I'm doing something. I'm not just sat around, you know, feeling sorry for myself, but I'm also not just exhausting myself. I'm not just like ignoring the fact of, you know, my dad's passing. I'm just going with it and flowing with it. So doing something like this feels really good to me. It doesn't feel like hustle. It doesn't feel like I need to. I did not need to put the camera on and record this today, but I was just pulled to it. So that brings me, you know, some comfort and stuff. But then also, obviously when you eat this, at the end, it's yummy. If you've got a sweet tooth, you're all good. If you don't, then this isn't for you. And I'm not advertising like comfort eating, but it kind of is, but obviously everything in proportion. But I don't see anything wrong with having a slice of cake today, to be quite honest. Especially at moments like this, like your energy levels are going to be slightly drained when you've got life in. So why not have a bit of comfort food? Okay, so that's my mixture into two. I just slightly pull out the middle because it will all raise. You don't want like a big tower. We want to try and keep our cakes as flat as we can. So I'm just going to carve out the middle slightly, not too much, just slightly. And what I also like to do is just tap the tins a couple of times just to bring the air up and through. So now we are ready. Just smooth them all off, get them nice and level. We are going to be ready to put these in the oven. So I have my oven set on 160 degrees C, and I'm just going to put, I'm going to put both cakes in on the same rack. I don't know why, I just do. So one on that side, one on this side. And what you want to make sure is that you leave them in for at least 20 minutes. Do not take the cake out because you need the batter to set. So I'm going to leave that in there now. We're going to do a 20-minute timer. And how you work out how your cake's ready is, one, it will go golden colour, and then I'll also show you how to use a skewer in a moment once they're cooked to test whether they are done. So I will see you in a moment. And always the best part about baking, this takes me back to my childhood, is I always think it's the baker's prerogative to be able to lick all the spatulas, the whisk, the spoons, and get all that yummy batter and enjoy it. That's so good. There is something about uncooked cake batter that tastes so good. So whilst I go off and dive into these, we'll leave our cakes cooking. And now it's time to clear up the devastation that is on the island. Yeah. All this, pack away. Yeah, get to enjoy the whisks. Oh, so good. Okay, I think I'm done now with these. It can go in the washing up. Just grab all my washing up here. There's quite a bit to wash up. And it's back on butters. Empty one to go to recycling. I put all my flour back, my sugar back in my cake cupboard, which is over there in the dresser. Sugar, baking powder, butter in the milk, and my cup of tea. A bit cold now. Get rid of my kitchen scales. And then I'm going to wash up. Bin. This is my bin. Yeah, so I just mop it off the board straight into here. This is in my island. It comes up into there. Rinse my cloth. My kitchen cleaner. I love this one. It smells good. What's this one? Winter spice. So we're in winter spice in spring, but it's all good. It smells good. Time to wash up. So my cakes have been in for 20 minutes, but I can tell they're not quite ready yet. Don't know if you can see through the oven. It just looks like this one just looks slightly pale than that one. So I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes, literally 2 minutes, and then I'm going to get a skewer and I'm going to check them. Okay, so that timer just went off. I'm going to open up my oven now. And then I've got my skewer. So I'm literally just going to poke it down through the top. And if no batter comes off, it's nice and clean, it's ready. I'm going to do this one as well. This one did feel a little bit, little tiny bit on that. I'm just going to leave these just for another couple of minutes. Okay, so both of my cakes are now done, so I'm going to take them out of the oven. And I'm literally just going to rest them for a minute. I'm just going to get a couple of pan covers here. These are just like neoprene rubber where I put all my hot dishes. So one on there. The other one on there. And I'm going to leave those to rest for about 5 minutes because we want all the edges to just come off of the pan. We don't want it to stick, so I'm going to leave it for 5 minutes. Okay, so I've given those 5 minutes and you'll see now, even though the tin's still hot, the edges have just started to come away. But even still, I'm just going to go around the edges with a blunt knife just to make sure that they're not stuck, because if your cake's stuck to the side and you tip it out, it will stay on the tin. Then you'll have half a cake out and half a cake still sat in the tin. Right, you're going to want to get yourself a cooling rack, or as I do, I just pull this cold one because I got a double oven out the cold oven. I just do that. As long as you can get air underneath it. You can see here I've got feet on this one. So a proper cooling rack would be like that, it'd probably be level, but I'm doing what I've got and that's fine. So the tin's still hot, so go careful. Oh, look, straight out. Perfecto. Woo, straight out. And I can tell already, these are lovely and soft and airy. So we really want to go careful with these because when they're hot, they can split. So now I'm just going to peel off. You can see all the heat coming off it now. Peel off the grease-free paper, and then we're just going to let these fully, see how it's just starting to peel off a little bit. Just be really careful when you're peeling these off. There we go. Now we're going to let these fully cool so that they don't fall apart, but they feel good. Good cakes. Hi, I nearly forgot to record this, but thank goodness now my cakes are lovely and cooled down. They look great. They got really good height on them. And then I was just about to do this and forgot that I was going to video. So I'm going to fill mine. I've got double cream, so whipping cream, but you can use butter icing. You can use some butter fondant type stuff. You can buy a pot if you want to, or with a Victoria sponge, it's just a plain sort of vanilla sponge. Well, it hasn't even got vanilla in it, but it's a plain sponge. And then you put jam and cream and then a bit of ice and sugar on the top. Or as I found out the other day, my neighbour only likes jam in the middle with ice and sugar, doesn't like any cream in it. So you can do whatever you want. If you like chocolate, you can put chocolate in the middle of it if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want. But a true Victoria sponge is cream and jam. So I've put my whisking whipping cream in, and I've got my hand whisk back out. I'm just going to mix this up so it becomes thick enough to like spread onto the cake. By the way, this will take a minute to do. starting to get there. You see it's just starting to thicken, but I need it a bit thicker than that. Right, it does go really thick, really quick, so you could see the difference. That's why I wanted to stop. Now it is definitely spreadable. As always when baking, I gotta lick the cream. It's too good to just wash away. So once I finish licking these, I'm gonna get the 2 sponges and I'm gonna do, like I said, jam and cream. And I also have some fresh strawberries. So I think I might put some fresh strawberries on the top. Let's see how we get on. So the first thing we want to do now is choose our top cake and bottom. As you can see, mine got a bit stuck because I didn't have the rack up like this level. Mine was flat on the floor and I put the cake down this end. Obviously there was no room underneath for it to breathe, so it's stuck a little bit. So I'm going to use that as the bottom cake, put my jam and cream on there, and then I'm going to use this better one as the top. So I've got myself a plate. I'm going to take my first layer, put that on there, and then I'm just going to get a knife and use either a normal sort of batter knife, or if you've got a palette knife, you can use that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to spread, it's literally just a jam jar, so a jar of jam. Literally just going to cover that and put that over the cake. Make sure I get to all the edges. I've not had a Victoria sponge cake for years. This is like really sort of old traditional type of cake, but they're just so good. Sometimes they seem so basic that you don't want them, but I was just like, I want to do a good old basic like Victoria sponge. So good, tastes so good. So I'm just literally putting the jam. You don't need it overly thick, but just as long as you've got enough for some flavours for that sweet sort of jam taste. And you could use whatever jam you want, apricot, blackcurrant, really doesn't matter. So just make sure I've got enough that sweetness all over there like that. Let's put that one back up. And then I'm literally just gonna get the cream that I just whisked and go on the top. Now I might swap now. Instead of this knife, I think I'm gonna go in with a palette knife, which is just a very thick, thick but thin, like wide, that's the word I was trying to use. So I'm just gonna take this cream, dollop it on the top, and then just very gently just start to smooth it out. Also, you might pick up some of the jam, but just whoop, that piece fell off. We can sort that out. Put that on the top. So you don't want to press too hard with this, otherwise all you're going to do is take the jam off rather than put the cake, put the cream on. Once the cream's stuck, we can start to spread it slightly. So you almost have to like push it on a little bit. Ooh. Just need to scrape that off a little bit. You just want to make sure you get all that to the edges. Like I say, not overdoing it, but make sure you got plenty on. So I think I've got plenty on there right now. Otherwise it'll be too rich. And like I say, if you don't want the cream, you do not have to have the cream. You can do whatever you like with this. I think we're pretty even all the way around. Just see what we're doing around here. It's quite good having a camera. I can see what we're doing onto there. So I think that looks good There is no perfection here. This is what I love about home baking, is that nothing needs to be perfect. It's more the enjoyment of baking it, of eating it. There isn't, you know, we don't need style with these types of cakes. When you're doing celebration cakes, maybe, but when you're doing this, you just want all the flavour, the enjoyment of doing it. So there, I'm gonna call that done with that. That's enough cream, I think, for me. Enough jam. So then I'm just literally gonna put my lid on. This is obviously why we want it both the same size. So that is just gonna go on there like that. And then all I'm gonna do is get some, I'll just clear up the plate. So good. As you can tell, I cook with my fingers all the time. Now I'm just gonna sieve over some icing sugar on the top, and I'm gonna put slices of strawberries on. So bear with me whilst I do that. So all I've got here is a sieve, and I've got my icing sugar. The reason we sieve it, again, we just want it evenly distributed across the cake, and we don't want any lumps in it. There's a couple of lumps in the packet, we don't want that. So I'm just gonna do this on the board for a minute to get it on there, because we don't want too much. And then I'm just literally gonna tap my sieve and just get that all the way over the cake. Let's go, it's got a nice little coating all the way around the edges, like so. And then I'll tip the rest back in the box. You don't need very much of this icing sugar for this. Does mean a bit more washing up, but that's all good. Okay, so I was thinking of putting some strawberries on the top, some fresh sliced strawberries, but now I don't want to. However, I think I do want them in the cake. So what I'm gonna do, somehow, I'm gonna lift the top back off if I can. Oh yeah, I can quite easy. So that there's not much on the bottom. So I'm just gonna move that off a minute. I'm gonna go and get my strawberries, and I'm gonna slice them up, and I'm gonna put them inside the cake. So let's just, so that was obviously the beauty of whipping up the cream. We got a good consistency, it didn't stick to the cake. So I'm just gonna get my strawberries and literally just have plenty of strawberries. And then I'm just gonna take the head off. I'm just gonna slice like that, do a few of those. And just literally put them in the middle of the cake. Only a few. So I think that'll do. So let's now put these in the bin. Let's get our cake back with the cream. I'm just going to wipe my top off. Get the surface off. Okay, so I'm just going to get these slices now. Just lay them across the cake. Don't need to do anything specific, just lay them on. And like I say, you don't have to do this at all. This is just me. And what I fancy in this moment is a little bit of fresh fruit with the cream and the jam. And there we go, that worked out well. Let me get my top again. And put it on. And there you have a beautiful, you see how high, we've got a good depth on the cake. So that was all the sieving and the folding and beating the eggs one at a time. That's what builds you a really good stacking cake. So I'm gonna go off now and take lots of photos, slice it up, take some to Mum and Simon. I'm sure the kids, when they come in, they'll be looking forward to a good slice of Victoria sponge. So like I say, if you want to be inspired by country living, bake your own cake, Don't just go out to the shop and buy one. It's all the process and enjoying it and learning how to bake one and really being able to do that. It's quite a really good skill to have. And then 2 is always making sure that you have a cake in your house at any given time. So hope you've enjoyed this. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care, bye.
And you know what I said about screws? There's one side. Go.
I think we get 4 pieces aside. I'm going to take a slice out as well. Ready? Now I'm just going to put on some raspberries, some fresh raspberries. The big raspberries. The best bit, honestly. So good. Beautiful. Snowing ice and sugar. And as I always do, time to lick the whisk. So good. A moment of truth. Does the cake sit on the new cake stand? So good. Ooh. It's a really good soft sponge, that one. I think we're on. We are on. Let's just see if we can get the lid on without squashing the top of the cake. Ta-da! We have new cake stand.